It's been tough. I don't really even know where to start. I am blessed that I get to steer the ship with the leadership behind me, and I can't express, I've said thank you so many times to the folks that the cavalry. I pictured John Wayne coming across over that hill, blowing the bugle and the flag of Texas and the town of Rockport-Fulton and Aransas County flying tall. The cavalry has showed up to help us. And they came tall, they came fast, and they were here. But I got to say that Mark Corey with the Portland Police Department was the first John Wayne that showed up here in the back door of the EOC. This is about 6 a.m., folks. He tried once, he couldn't get here to help us, but he showed up with 5 patrolmen and 4 paramedics and said, Corpus Christi PD is on my back tail with 10 cars. Do you still need them? Yes, I do. And they came running. And then with Jerry Loing driving the war wagon, we make it to the Aransas County Airport. Folks, we were dead in the water. All the plans, all 40 years of my experience in running this ship in this type of disaster went away in the blink of an eye when the storms came from the other direction, when the winds blew from the other directions, wiped out our entire communications. That's 8 deep of fail-safe systems went away. To the rest of the world and the communications folks at the DDC in Corpus Christi, they thought we were gone. At 8 o'clock, we jumped in the war wagon and we headed to the Aransas County Airport with a satellite phone. I made the call to the DDC when we finally got a dial tone, and I told Brandy Fisher, who will forever be in my heart as the voice on the other phone, I said, Brandy, we're alive in Rockport, Texas, but we're hurt bad. I apologize for sleeping during your lectures about what you can do for us if I ever needed it. And you talked about multiple packages and what that level is. Again, I apologize. I don't know what that is, but we were hurt bad, and I need that package. And ladies and gentlemen, she said, Rick, we're coming. And from that day forward, here we are 18 days later, that package is still arriving. From everything from ice and water, National Guard, people here to help people, our leadership. People are coming in saying, I'm here, what do you want? And I've got to tell you that the most important thing that I heard was the folks that stepped up and said, what do you need, Mr. McLester? And I said, there are department heads in this community, leaders in this community, that if you could just walk up, put an arm on a shoulder, and I'll use an example as a volunteer fire chief. A volunteer fire chief walked up to one of our volunteer fire chiefs and said, I may not do it as good as you can. I don't know your community, but Chief, I'm a chief just like you. Send your people home. I don't care if it's one hour, 1 day, a week. My team is here. We're going to take care of your community. Go take care of yourself. And folks, that's been going on every day for the last 18 days. There's been hundreds and hundreds of volunteers from the other communities coming in here to help us rebuild, regain, get through that wall. If I look back and reflect before I answer questions, I could not be prouder of the people that you see every day in your community who have taken an oath to protect and serve. This leadership behind me, those chief of police, the law enforcement community, the fire department community, the EMS community. When we think of first responders, we think of the big three: fire, EMS, law enforcement. But ladies and gentlemen, we've adopted 2 other first responders, and that's the road and bridge and public works folks of Fulton and Rockport, who are getting the water back on and getting our sewers. And I'll never tell, I don't know how to say to you, when you hear that toilet flush after dipping water in a bucket out of a ditch for 5 days. We have automatic toilets up at the Public Safety Center, so when I walked away and it went, I had to walk back and punch the button again. I didn't believe it. Bless those people that allowed that to happen. And all those folks from AEP. Folks, you're seeing, I saw a sign that said Madison, Kentucky, Oklahoma City. Those army of AEP people that are here to make sure. They told us a month. 13 days later, power was starting to come back on. At the peak, I'm told 5,800 people an army of 5,800 folks were here in Aransas County, helping Aransas Countyans. Wow, tremendous. But again, those first responders, those folks you see every day, the 2 extra responders that we call now our Public Works and our AEP guys, bless those folks. I'm just so proud that I just got to steer the ship. But the leadership behind us here, the leadership at every one of those groups, those volunteer firemen, guys, don't forget, none of our fire departments are paid. They're all volunteers. They had homes that were lost too, but they never missed a beat. Our professionals that are paid, there is homes that are lost. They never missed a beat. I'm not sleeping in the same room with Judge Mills anymore. He snores louder than I do. But nobody missed a beat, folks. And I couldn't be prouder that I was allowed to steer the ship in our time of need. But it's not me. And these guys up here will tell you it's not them. It's those boots on the ground. And I want to say it's not just these guys. It's neighbor helping neighbors. So ladies and gentlemen, you're that neighbor helping that neighbor. Give yourself a round of applause. Because when the smoke clears, it's neighbor helping neighbor. We talked a few names here about the folks, the compound we're here. Gosh, I couldn't tell you. You're driving through town and you're seeing people standing on a corner with kids saying, free food. I don't know who those people are. They're not from Rockport, but they cared. They came from wherever they were at, bought food, came here and cooked it, and made sure we all ate well. Some of the responders who have been on multiple deployments at the fire station said, usually when we go on deployments, we lose 10 to 15 pounds. Well, when the boiler plot shut down and called the Fulton Fire Department and said, come get everything in our freezer, we had king crab legs, and we had shrimp, and we had corn, and we had sausage. So those guys said, I've gained 20 pounds since I've been here. But we tried to make it a point when every one of those folks came to our EOC and reported in, we called them family. We told them that you're here to help us. You're starting out as second cousins. But before you leave, you will be a fellow brother and sister. And I have said thank you so many different ways. I'm not an educated man. I cannot articulate other than just say thank you. And I don't get choked up, but I've been choked up a couple of times when 40 of my fellow volunteer firemen from outside this community drove all the way from Denton, Texas to support the 3 fire departments here in this community. That blew me away. But everybody knows me. I'm real shy and quiet. I don't talk well in public, and I don't know what they talk about that I'll talk for an hour. It's only been 10 minutes, guys. But for some reason, they've asked me to be up here, and if you have questions, rather than me talk for 2 hours, I think it's important that if you have a question about what's happening now, why did it happen that way, and what do we expect tomorrow, I think it would be important for me to sit here and try to answer that, or these folks here behind me can grab a mic and do that. So, any questions, folks, that we might have that we can answer of what's going on? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sharon Hine from Bayview RV. We've been talking to Spectrum about our internet and Wi-Fi, and I get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Don't know when, don't know what. We can't operate without it.
Law enforcement has been directed, when they see that one Spectrum truck driving through this community, arrest them and bring them to the EOC. And that's not a joke, folks. That is a true order to law enforcement. Find that guy, have him come to the EOC because he needs to report to these guys is what the heck's going on.
There was one in front of the country club. If we can't...
Sick on Jerry Lawing, where are you at? Go get him. Okay, Spectrum is a problem. We do not have internet. Yes, ma'am. Dead on. What do we do? We're doing it. We're trying to find a guy. I've got a secretary that's doing nothing but trying to find Spectrum, DirecTV, Dish, and AT&T to report to the EOC and explain to us what's going on. Now, I don't want to take too much of their defense, but clearly those operations don't get to work until AEP is finished putting up poles. Now, that's happened. AEP has told us that we're 100% up to your pole. You may not have power, but it's because you have other issues within your system from the pole to your house. But AEP reported yesterday afternoon they are 100% to everybody's pole, they believe. Yes, ma'am. Question?
I'm Colette Walls at the Portland Chamber of Commerce, and for those businesses that need Wi-Fi, you are more than welcome to come to our chamber and use our conference room with the Wi-Fi. We're there 8:30 to 5 every day.
Any other question in the back? So far, it's been easy. There's going to be one here shortly. I can't hear you.
I always give you problems, you know that. I got back last night. I was in a nursing home in Austin, and all you saw on television was Spectrum advertising how great they are. And they had callers saying they are making their hotspots available to everybody, whether you have Spectrum service or not. I'm getting great service. I have Sprint, and I have no problems. My question is, I got back last night. I'm in a hotel. I want to move back into my house tomorrow. I have no water. What's happening in Fulton with the water?
You should have water in Fulton. Well, Jimmy, you got to answer that?
You need to call City Hall, have Johnny come in, turn your meter back on. We went through the big town of Fulton. We turned every meter off to save dollars. And so we wouldn't have artesian wells coming up everywhere. So just give Johnny a call. He'll come by and check it
because
for
I
you.
have to clean the